Today we're talking about the Call of Duty gameplay, both the new Zombies mode and the content that leaked over the weekend. Plus, we're dissecting the new Zelda trailer, talking the latest PS5 sales numbers, and wishing a fond farewell to Game Informer. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, joined by our Good Playing Good buddies, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey now.
Before we jump into the headlines, let's check in with my mob of Matts and find out what everyone's been playing this week. Lord?
We are kind of the mob of Matts, huh?
Yeah.
I like that one. Let's see. What did I do this week? Well, I had some gift cards to Best Buy, so I picked up Stellar Blade and played about a half hour of that. And
worth it or no?
I honestly think, yes, this one's going to be worth it. I like the atmosphere a lot in it. I love that like post-apocalyptic, run down Earth, explore a little bit. You know,
don't you mean atmosphere? Isn't it a very assy game?
It's definitely an assy game. You're in a very scantily clad outfit the whole time, which I don't know how fighting in these very like funny high heels would, I don't know how those would benefit you in a combat situation like that, but they're making it work in the future and I'm not complaining about it. Let's just say that. And then the beginning was really cool. Like I gotta say the graphics on that bad boy, they look good. Like very good. Probably dare I say the best I've seen on the PS5.
Wow. High praise.
Yeah, they're good. So that's been fun. I'll do a mini review once I play it more because I only played about like 30 minutes, but because I got it only a couple days ago. And then the other thing that I jumped into this week was Hollow Knight, and I was camping last week and I brought my Switch along and I was like, what do I want to play while I'm going to sleep? Because I drank a Rain energy drink probably like an hour before lights out. So I was like, well, I'm going to be up for a sec, and picked up Hollow Knight on the Switch and was in my tent on my little air mattress playing Hollow Knight. It was super vibey. And the beginning of that game is so well done and it's very cool, very charming. You guys have played Hollow Knight?
Yeah, it gets real hard real fast though, so I can't imagine playing on a handheld in a tent while you're cranked out on rain or whatever.
It's a whole different experience. I didn't know I'd be able to say I've done that, but it was really cool. It was a fun. I love that game. Maulding, did you beat it?
No, I actually didn't play too much of it. I'm side-scrolling games are not my favorite thing in the world, so I played a bit of it. And then I just stopped. Maybe one day I'll go back because it is a classic. People love it.
It is, yeah, agreed. I mean, I would suggest maybe not picking it up on the Switch, but if you can, if you pick it back up, but yeah, that's it from me.
Nice. Maulding, what are you playing?
As Dan knows, I am playing 7 Days to Die, and we've got to talk about something that I did.
We do. I'm ready.
Dan,
I'm just telling you my side of the story.
Yeah, you can tell your side of the story. You can tell yours first, and I'll tell you the reality of what actually happened.
I love 7 Days to Die. I'm addicted to it. I play it all the time. And Matt and I have a shared world, and that I need to start it up for him to come into. And so I'm playing along, having a good time. I'm in my base, and then Matt.
And I'm very sensitive to this because I don't get invited to Dan's shared worlds often. So I'm very sensitive about making sure everything's okay. And I'm playing by the rules.
On your best behavior.
But if you're not partied up inside the game, friendly fire is on, and a zombie comes to attack. So yesterday, a zombie comes to attack me, and Matt tries to shoot an arrow at him, hits me in the leg, breaks my leg. So my character is essentially a wounded duck, and I'm going to die and lose XP, which is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. So I get him in the party. Everything's fine. And then he messages me, and he's like, I'm going to upgrade the base. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing that base anymore. I've got this I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, so I'm a little bit of a spaz, and I've built this huge sky tower.
Let me back it up. I didn't say I'm going to upgrade the base. I said I just upgraded the base, so I expected some thanks to come my way because I just used some resources on this base that I thought you guys were using. Okay, continue.
Yeah. The next text, I'm like, I've got this sky tower. It's really cool. It's the only safe place for zombies. I can't wait to show you, yada, yada, yada. The next text I get from him is,
No, not a text, a phone call. I call you.
That's true. That's when you know it's really trouble, because you get the phone call. He was panicked. He's like, "Oh my god, I just destroyed your base." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is Matt Maulding. Of course he's joking with me. There's no way." And I'm like walking my dogs, but I've left my game on so that my buddy can hang out in the world.
Upgrade.
So he's like, "No, I'm serious." I'm like, "Come on, dogs!" I'm pulling my dogs around the corner to get help. I know.
Woody and Jack's catching some shrapnel on my mistake, unfortunately.
For sure. And I get in there, and my sky tower is now just like a half sky tower, as someone has attacked it. Then he swears he's going to help me upgrade it or whatever. 30 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, I can't help fix it. Here's some resources." He throws like 8 cobblestone and leaves my game.
That is okay. Now here's the reality of what happened. So as you notice, I had to correct him on many things because he gets a lot of stuff wrong. So so I upgraded his old base, was expecting big thanks for that. Did not get any thanks. We should do it with this is the new base. Okay. I go to the new base. He's out walking his dog, doing whatever he does out there. And I am upgrading his big base. And I'm changing the wood into stone. And I'm changing. Think I'm doing a great job. And then all of a sudden, one of these corner pieces, I change into stone. And that's when the whole thing crumbles. And I'm on top and the whole thing falls down. And the face I made, because I knew I was in so much trouble, I'm sitting there with my controller and I just go like, oh no, I'm so upset. And that's why you knew I was upset, because I called you instead of texting you. I wasn't because I knew I had to own up to this thing right quick. I would never ever get invited to this game ever again. As it is, I don't think I am getting invited to it again. But
No,
so then I promised I am going to go get you more materials to go do this. And I gave you 40 blocks of cobblestone, and I gave you a bunch of raw cobblestone to do your upgrade with. And then I had a previous engagement that I had to leave the game for. So there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to cancel plans for you to fix your base, but I did give you a lot of materials to get it back. And I don't know. Anyway.
Oh, Maulding. That sounds like something really I would do. I just bust down the base and just oof.
Yeah, ruins my game and then pieces out.
Did we not on headset?
No, we weren't on headset. But the thing is I don't think Dan believes me that I was upgrading. I think he thinks I was destroying stuff.
No, one of the things about in Maulding's defense, not that I would ever really want to defend you, but it is true. I watch a lot of these YouTube videos, especially on the physics of that game, because I'm a builder and I love building in this game. I love building in all games, but I know that I've had this is not my second or third base. This is probably my fourth or fifth, because I've had it fall so many times, and the physics are so weird, and you have to worry about the weight and how far it goes out and all that sort of stuff. So in your defense, if you're new to the developing bases, then yes, I could see you overloading one of the supports and trying to support it, but putting too heavy of materials on there and so I figured out what happened, but
okay, good.
I just want to make fun of you. That's all.
No, we absolutely can't. But anyway, the game is super fun. I'm really enjoying it, especially tearing down hours and hours of work of your buddy. That was the most fun I've had in that game in a long time. But I just saw that there's an achievement to get to level. It was some crazy level, level 500 or something. And I think I'm at level 20. So there is so much game to be had in that. I'm really interested in seeing where it goes.
Yeah, me too. And I'm interested to see where your building skills go.
Yes. might see if I can improve. So I've been playing that, and let me tell you just a very quick story about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which came out on Game Pass a couple weeks ago. I decided to download it. It was 150 megs or something or gigs. So I had to delete a bunch of games from my hard drive to be able to play it. And I was like, I'm going to pop into multiplayer Well, once you just find how to get there, because the menus are, I haven't played a Call of Duty game in a while, and I do not remember the menus being as nuts as they are in that game. I was completely lost as to where to go for multiplayer, like what to play. I just wanted to play like a death match, but evidently you can't do that. You have to fill in for some like crazy 7 map. I don't. It was nuts. I didn't like that. So once I finally found multiplayer, I just completely got destroyed. Like someone pops around a corner, hits you twice, you die. All right. Someone pops around another corner, someone comes up behind you, 2 hits, you die. It's not like Overwatch where there's like you can play a bit
Grace
and
period.
feel like you're doing something. Yeah, there's a grace period. There's like some leeway. No, you just instantly die. I think I got 3 kills and immediately deleted the game. Like I don't. It is not. It is not the Call of Duty that I remember where I used to be able to like, well, camp, sit next to a tree, like sit next to a car tire, and like blend in with my sniper rifle and snipe dudes from far away. That's just not the game that it is anymore. And I'm very sad that that's not the way. I mean, I'm sure people love this version. Obviously, they do because they play so much of it, and it's such a huge popular game. But I very much want to pour one out for my old Call of Duty days.
100%.
Yeah.
And
Sorry to
Maulding,
hear,
I think I
brother.
know what happened to you. You got a dose
Yeah.
of the skill-based matchmaking, my friend.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I probably did. Yes, I probably is. So with just a regular multiplayer game that you're playing, is it skill based? Is that
Oh
how
yeah,
it's
baby.
just
Everything
so?
is.
Well, then it should
All
have made
right,
it
yeah.
easier for him.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
was
should have
just
toned it down, but it doesn't. It's just all
no
bad. It's all bad.
Well, that's
deleted
because social
constantly.
games, I find that if you don't jump in when the game first releases, then you're screwed because those kids get in there and they memorize these maps and they know all of the tricks and the spawn points and they snipe and camp them and that sort of stuff. And
At
it,
one point, I literally spawned in. A second later, I was killed.
yeah,
Like someone just like popped up, killed me right, and so they must have known that was
The
a
new
that's how
Call of
people
Duties
spawn.
have like the notoriously bad spawns. So
Yeah.
like they'll just spawn you right in
But
front of them.
speaking of Call of Duty, we've got a lot of stories to talk about. So
But
let's
yeah.
go ahead and hop right into the headlines.
Let's do it.
The first story we've got is the hotly anticipated Call of Duty 6 gameplay leaked recently. Lord, you had this story for us.
Yeah. So crazy. Over the weekend, I'm scrolling through Twitter and all of a sudden I see, what do I see on my feed? Oh, Blops 6 gameplay just right there. And they're just like, the whole game is leaked. That's like what the tag was saying. I'm like, okay, well, I might as well look at some of these because I'm very intrigued. And what I saw was actually kind of interesting. They weren't kidding about the movement. The movement is very fluid, and you can't see a controller or what buttons may be being pressed, but it looked nice. Like you're laying down, there's a lot of like it looks like you can swivel really fast. There's one point where they're walking up to a wall and you're automatically like side peeking out, like how, like, let's say a Rainbow Six
Oh, I like that.
Siege.
Yeah.
So you're kind of, you see these automatic peaks, so everything does look fluid, and that's what I saw a majority of that, which was great. I saw a lot of that, and then I keep scrolling, or maybe like the next day, at the hackers already found
Okay, right.
out cheats, and I
Yeah.
was watching gameplay of these hackers. Like they have like speed boost and low grav, and they're jumping around doing the same motion that I was seeing, and it was insane. So the game leaked off a jailbroken PS4, and so I'm not sure I don't know how these jailbroken systems exactly work and how they are able to pull content. It's just crazy. But I mean, let's just say this: the hackers are getting a jump start on hacks for this game. So
That is
that alone, yeah,
horrifying. One of the
horrifying.
features, though, that I want to touch on real quickly that
Yeah.
sounded really cool was the human meat shield. I know this kind of been in other games, but this one is if you're in stealth and you go up behind someone and you grab them without them knowing, you can now then move their body and then they take shots for you. Did you see any of that?
Oh, I don't think I saw any of that, but I
I read
love
about that
that.
one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then all of the footage quickly got scrubbed from the internet. Like it's gone.
It is 100% gone. Even the article that we pulled for this little segment, the video that they embedded is gone. There's no content there. So let's say Activision did a super thorough job getting all of that content. Just they scrubbed it.
That's that Microsoft money.
Yeah. So I mean, does it make me like less hyped for the game or anything? I mean, no, I'm still very hyped. Like it's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like let's ride. Like we're good to go. But I think my biggest concern at this point is the hacks that I know are going to be like deeply rooted since it's the game's
already out. Turn off crossplay since all PC players are cheaters.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think you were in the previous title, so I don't think this is going to be any different. I think we're going to have some PC players, and it seems like the jailbroken PS4 is still like providing these hacks too, which makes me a little like sus.
Yeah, for sure. But then I would think they would take put it on PC with an emulator, and that's how they'd be getting the hacks. I don't know though.
That's true. That's true.
So, Maulding, based on your experience with Modern Warfare 3, are you jumping in day one to make sure that you learn all the sniper spots, or are you saying, I'm out of here?
Yes. I mean, I think going in day one, like we spoke about earlier, is the better way to go, because then everyone's fresh to it. And then it's the way it was when we played Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like that first weekend was way more fun than subsequent weekends once people knew where everything was. So this will be the first Call of Duty that I'd hop into day one in probably 15 years or so. So yeah, I'll do it.
Glad to hear it. And one other thing I have to say that looked pretty good was the zombies mode. Did you guys get a look at that footage?
Not yet. I haven't.
I haven't. No, I mean, I assume it's like every other zombie Call of Duty game, right? Where you're picking up the random weapons. I think at a point you have to pick up some currency, and then you have a chance to purchase better weapons. I assume it's still the same, but probably better graphics.
Yeah, it looked gorgeous. It looked beautiful. I can't wait to jump in on that one and try that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd totally.
I'm hoping it's like actually a little spooky, like some of the past ones. Does it look like it might actually be a little scary?
Spooky.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm looking for some spooks anymore. It's like, come on, let's go.
It starts with, I'm assuming, like I don't know the characters very well, but the music was very much like dramatic on the reveals. But they're breaking out of the jail, and so these people are being recruited a la Suicide Squad, and then they're going out there. Although it looks far better. I don't want to using that analogy. I don't want you to think of it that game.
Yeah, Suicide Squad.
Dan, even though you are super upset about the Call of Duty tax that we have to pay on Game Pass, you're going to pick it up anyway and play it. May as well, since we're spending the money for it.
That is exactly what I'm thinking. It might be one weekend, or it might be a few months or whatever. We'll see. But definitely, if you guys are going to be there, we should be playing opening weekend.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And if it allows us to grind for when they release the next like Warzone map. And that's what the bonus of this multiplayer is for, is because you can grind the guns. So when you get into the battle royale mode, you actually have good loadouts to choose from and set up from in the Warzone mode. So that's really why you grind in the multiplayer anymore.
Does it work the other way around? Can you play the Warzone to grind out good stuff in the multiplayer?
Yeah, it'll work both ways, but it'll take, you'll be able to get a lot more kills and different like unique kills that you might need to get to unlock something. So that is how you'll get it in the big Warzone BR mode.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hopefully it also sounds good to Sony's bottom line, because the next story we have is that PS5 hardware sales are on the decline, but Sony is still looking healthy. This article comes from GameSpot. And I just wanted to bring this one up because we talk a lot about Xbox and their sales and how they're doing. And I thought it was only fair to talk about Sony, because not a lot of people make a big deal about this. But it was worth noting because it was interesting. But the article says Sony's latest financial results for the Q1 period of its 2024 financial year, April 1st to June 30th, are in, and the company has revealed that the PS5 has reached 61.7 million lifetime sales so far, which I think is definitely great for this time period. In this quarter, 2.4 million PS5 consoles were sold, a figure that's down by 27% when compared to the 3.3 million PS5 consoles sold during the same period in the previous financial year. Overall, though, Sony says that its sales in games and network services section are up 12% year on year, resulting in a 32% increase in operating income. So obviously they're not hurting too much. The company added that its first party sales and PlayStation Plus subscriptions grew with 80% of the 53.6 million PS5 games sold in Q1 being digital purchases. So that's interesting that 30% are digital. Software sales brought in $3.3 billion in revenue, almost 20% growth year on year, but hardware revenue did decline by 21% to $990 million. So it looks like they're facing the same exact thing that Xbox is with that hardware decline, albeit not as steep as we were reporting for Xbox, but they are making it up in the software, which is also interesting because they don't have a lot of software coming up. So I sure hope that, a lot of this third-party stuff keeps them, in the black. What do you guys think about these numbers?
Yeah.
Well, so sorry, Lord. All of that, all of the numbers you were giving were all percentages, right? So a 30% or whatever the number was you said, what was it?
30%.
You don't have it. You don't have it memorized.
Well, I said that there was a 32% increase in operating income.
But you said that there was a dip in sales. What was the dip in sales?
The dip in sales was 27%.
Okay, so here's my take on that. Since it's a percentage, a 27% dip on a PlayStation percentage is going to be way less than a 27% dip on an Xbox because PlayStation sold so much more. So 27% is really, if you're comparing it to Xbox, is really a great dip in comparison to what a 27% dip in Xbox would be. So that's my only take. Like, yes, it's a dip because they're all dipping, but it's still way healthier than what Xbox has. And we all know that. Like, that's not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is my take. I think just half of the fun about getting a PS5 was waiting for that Twitter notification from Wario64 saying there was a release from Best Buy, and you would go on all fast and you would try to get a PS5 in your cart, and 80
that's not, that wasn't fun. You and I have different ideas of fun.
I honestly had a blast doing that. I don't know, it was kind of sick, but I was like, I remember I think I got it off of Wario 64 like Best Buy announcement, and I scored a PS5, and now
that's how I got mine too.
Yeah. And now that they're readily available, I just think it's funny. You go into a Target or you go into your Best Buy and you see them just all over the place. You're like, man, I remember it wasn't long ago when I was like fighting online to get my hands on one of these, and now the sales dip. I think there's just something a little funny about, how that is correlating. But I think you're right though, Dan. This system needs a little more. I mean, I'm enjoying Stellar Blade. I enjoy Returnal, but I need a little extra spice with this console. That's for sure. Otherwise I see it going down further, and whether they, report more on it or let's see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm a little bit concerned just because there's not a lot of gas left in the tank in terms of games that are to be released. I know at the end of the year we've got Concord coming up, but that's a multiplayer shooter, and it's typically, it's just Sony's so well known for their single player narrative experiences. And then we've got Astrobot, and I think I'm the only one in the world looking forward to that.
Agreed. Oof. Also, real fast about the article, I just thought was interesting. It said 30% of sales were digital just in that time period, or in total. I heard a little 30%
this year. It was saying this year compared to last year, or that it's increased to 80%.
It's increased. Holy, okay.
80% total are now digital only purchases.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. buy physical games. That brings honestly a tear to my eye. Holy,
right?
that's
That
insane.
is exactly the other thing I brought out of our article was like, eesh,
that's insane. Okay,
well,
crazy.
I think that's a good segue to my story about pouring one out for Game Informer, because probably one of the reasons that it's going away is because GameStop needs to fix their bottom line, and GameStop bought Game Informer like 10 years ago, I think 10 or 15 years ago. And now that the physical game sales are so low, GameStop is unfortunately had to unload Game Informer. Game Informer is no more.
after
This
33
news
years.
after
Yeah.
33 years, this news came out the day after our last podcast ended, so we missed the news by a day. I'm reading a little blurb from Kotaku. The sudden closure of Game Informer means that issue number 367, the outlet's Dragon Age The Veilguard cover story, will be its last physical magazine. The entire website has been taken offline as well. The Game Informer Twitter account, which has since been deleted after employees used it to share their bylines one last time, posted the following statement online. After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being a part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end. So I'm personally affected by this in two ways. One, I've worked with Game Informer multiple times in my job, and the woman that I work with is just gone. Email's gone. I have no way. I don't know her number. I have no way to contact her other than finding her on LinkedIn and contacting her that way. So they didn't even give them a chance to like clean out their desk. They just were like, you're out. They started talking severances and then deleted everything. And then one of the writers posted on Twitter their oh gosh, what's it's called, the masthead page. And once they did that, GameStop deleted the Twitter account as well. So everything's gone. There's no archives. You go to the website, you get that message, that goodbye message. There's nothing. So they really did that entire magazine so dirty. And then also this is pales in comparison to the poor people who lost their jobs, but GameStop just allowed Game Informer to have their own subscription. Before, you could only get a subscription from it by being a GameStop subscriber to their like power up program. And they allowed 3 months ago for you to just get an individual subscription, of which I immediately did because I didn't want anything to do with GameStop. And it was just $20. It's not a huge deal at all, but that money's gone. Like, I won't get a full year of issues. I paid $20 for 3 issues of the magazine, which, okay, it's not a big deal at all. But multiply that by however, multiple thousands of people probably did the same thing I did. And that money, GameStop just absorbed that money. So they just did it's all so dirty. I feel like it's just a really awful thing for these people to do them that way. I mean, I'm sure we all think the same way, so it's nothing controversial.
No, I agree though. It's a shame that they couldn't have given them the opportunity to do like a fun goodbye, at least a special issue, do some sort of like encyclopedia and best of, and like give the gamers the chance to celebrate it. Even if you don't want to like do it for a year, do it for 6 months, make a special thing out of it instead of just like turning off the lights and locking the door on their way out. Like that is just, it's just a shame because they deserve so much more, and they were always fun, and I would always take them like on the airplane with me, and that was my airplane reading all the time. And they had such good in-depth articles and stuff, and that's a shame.
Yeah, total one shame. Employee was actually traveling while it happened, and just like came back, and the story just is no more. Like it's such a bummer.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, this like cuts deep for me, because when I worked at GameStop back in the day, and it was every day you had to hit a quota of selling these magazines. So it was like always a challenge. You're like, how am I going to sell these Game Informer mags? And all the while, though, I thoroughly believed in the magazine. Like, I would sell it selling the magazine, because the magazine was awesome. The magazine, I still have a Game Informer in the bathroom right now. I have probably 10 years worth like stashed somewhere. And I just love those things. Like, so many good memories. I think it's just one of those staples that I wished, I wish would just never go away. Like the GameStop I used to work at now is out of business. It's been gone for like a few years. And when I first saw that, it hit hard. And I feel the same way seeing this go away. It's just a little piece of something that I feel like will go on forever, and it just ends randomly. You get a Twitter notification with, the statement, and you're just like, okay, well, this good thing is no longer here. I guess the times are changing, 80% digital sales, and that's it. It's crazy.
Yep. Well, and also, so what other magazines are there? I only know of one gaming magazine that still exists, and that's PC Gamer. I don't think that there's Maximum PC, but that's like a tech magazine, and PC Gamer. Those are the only ones I know of. Do you know of any others that I think exist? I think it's all gone.
I think there's Gamer, but it might not. I don't think it's a monthly basis. I think it's like every quarter or something, because I'll go into Barnes and Noble and see like one. I'm like, I don't know if I've seen this like a few times this year already, and who knows? Yeah. It might not even be around anymore.
Well, moving on to a game series, actually, that's been around forever, that'll hopefully stick around, as of course is Zelda. There's got a new spin-off coming up, and they released a new trailer today that highlighted about 5 minutes of footage. And Maulding, you had this story.
Yeah, this is me again. So I mean, I don't have a story on it other than watching the trailer, and I have to say,
can you describe the trailer? Like, tell us what happened.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more excited, I think, than I was before. They introduced an ultra hand. It's not called ultra hand; it's called bind. And so basically, Zelda can throw her wand at something, shoot a little beam, and it binds the object to her, and then she can move around and it moves the object with her. So it's basically ultra hand in Tears of the Kingdom. And then for some reason they called it reverse bond, not reverse bind, but okay. So reverse bond allows her to attach herself to a moving object, and then that object can carry her across the map or across the environment that she's in. So both of those things I thought looked super interesting. What I feel really good about is I think it's taken from Tears of the Kingdom, that finding different ways to solve problems. And I loved that about Tears of the Kingdom. Like Dan and I compared, like, how did you solve this shrine? Oh, I solved it this way. I solved it a different way. I think that is what they're going for, maybe a little bit in it. What else did they show? They showed the different environments. They're going to have, of course, the volcano, the water area, the snow area, and then they showed some different cities. And I thought it looked really fun. The one thing I am concerned about is they didn't really show her battling at all. They just showed her like creating a monster and then the monster fighting for her. And that does not sound very fun to me.
And that's why I'm out, to be honest with you. I saw this footage and
that's my concern.
I had the exact opposite reaction you had. I saw the footage and I was like, this is a lot of work. I'm out. I don't play video games for work. I play video games for fun, relaxation, and enjoyment. And Zelda's not doing any of this stuff. She's conjuring things that are doing this stuff for her. She's not climbing the mountain. She's conjuring a spider, binding her to the spider climbs up and pulls her up. And I'm like, that is very tedious, because before you could just climb up the ladder, but now you need to do all of these things to get up there. I'm like, oy, I'll borrow it from Maulding when he's done with it.
I
buy it digitally, so you won't be borrowing.
You're part of the problem with the 80%.
I know.
I'm there. I like a little extra mechanic, like it sounds like a little different. Like you can always climb up something in any old game, Dan. You can't always reverse bondage to a spider.
Reverse bondage.
Bondage. Hey, now the game's much more exciting when you describe
right,
it that way.
right. And so I mean, I didn't catch the entire trailer, but I heard some other.
It's almost like you have a kid or something that you have to take care of. How dare you?
Sorry, Ro, but I gotta watch a 5-minute gameplay trailer real quick. You can play with that pair of scissors for a little. Like I just, yeah, I mean, I'm into it. I just, what you said about the fighting, the molding, like I would prefer to do the fighting myself, like, and not.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Pokemon type. It's like giving me Pokemon vibes, where you're like sending your little monster out and it's doing all the work for you while you're the trainer just kind of like standing back and not doing anything.
Yeah.
So
now, granted, they do. I think Nintendo's pretty famous with kind of a slow drip of information. So this is one bit of information, and then I mean they hid a lot of stuff that you could do in Tears of the Kingdom before Tears of the Kingdom came out, which is great, and I love that about them. And I'm sure that there's lots of stuff that's hiding that we don't know about. So I'm looking forward to it
for sure. I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm looking forward to borrowing your Switch when you're done.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We got our discussion of the week.
Yep.
Lord, this is yours.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if we were getting any music before this or not.
Yeah. Let's go to our listener emails of the week.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Thank you for that.
So, I mean, I think this has something to do with the closure of Game Informer. And I was just thinking back, I'm like, man, what are some of my like fun, like really fond gaming memories? So this one, I just kind of cooked up. Describe your favorite midnight release memory. Let's take a walk down memory lane to a time no longer. And I can kick it off. Like, so back in the day, we lived close to a Blockbuster, and a friend and I, we started walking at like 11:30 p.m. We're like young, and we're just like, let's go to Blockbuster. They're having Halo 2 midnight release.
Wait, Blockbuster?
They sold the game there?
Yeah. They sold the game. Yeah, they sold the game at Blockbuster, and they set up a tournament there. And we're like, let's go. And my buddy just so happened to be very good at Halo. Me, on the other hand, at that time, not good. So we show up. He gets the game. We're hanging out. I'm playing in this like little tournament. There's like 20 other people there. It's super awesome. It wasn't like super packed yet. It was like very, it's still kind of like a quaint thing. And
where is this?
This is in Thousand Oaks, California. So it's back where I grew up and am now, actually. And so and this Blockbuster just like let us play. He got to like the final little showdown or whatever, which was cool because it was like a little LAN party. I was out like first round. And then after we picked up the game, it was like 3 a.m. His dad comes up by and picks us up in his cop car, and we race home, lights blaring, super badass. And I was just like, so cool. Like, I'm trying to remember how old I would have been. Like, when did Halo 2 come out? Halo 2 release. Oh yeah, November 9th, 2004, boys. That's crazy. So it was epic. It was a lot of fun. That was just a fond midnight release memory for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Wow. I'm still blown away by the Blockbuster, and the cop car.
I know.
You got a deluxe.
I know. It was pretty cool.
Mine's not nearly as exciting as that, but it was. But I did walk, and I walked to a GameStop, and it was a GameStop near my house and here near my apartment, and it was to pick up Grand Theft Auto 4.
Good one.
Which had their midnight release there.
So good.
And I met a buddy there, and we stood in line for, 45 minutes or so. And it was a pretty long line that extended into the parking lot. And at one point, a reporter came by with the whole news van and everything, and they started asking people if they wanted to be interviewed for it. And it was just nose down the line. Like no one wanted to be interviewed for it, and it got to us, and we were like, nope, we don't want to be interviewed for it either. Like I already look like this, and I'm a nerd sitting, in line for a game at midnight. I don't need to be on television as well. So that's
awesome.
That's all I got, and it was just a very memorable story. But it goes back to what we like with GameStop and physical sales closing. It's a memory that I have, that it was a really fun memory, and those just aren't going to be there anymore.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I had a fun experience with the midnight launch. It was a double midnight launch of the Nintendo Wii. And this was coming off of the heels of GameCube. So no one expected this one to do what it was going to do, but real nerds kind of like were excited by this new motion technology. And we've always loved Nintendo. So of course I'm going to be there. But I was kind of half in, half out. But my buddy Chad, which was on the podcast like a month ago, which everyone got to meet, and is working on, Visions of Mana, which we should all check out later on this year.
Oh, yeah.
My buddy Chad was like, Dan, we have to go. And he's like super passionate about it. I'm like, all right, Chad. He's like, let's get us sleeping bags. We're going to sleep on the sidewalk. And this is in Hollywood, down the street from Matt's. I lived a little bit further west.
Is this the West Hollywood Target? That one?
Yes, West Hollywood Target at La Brea. And yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to sleep on the ground. And at the last second, I was kind of punked out. And I was like, oh, I don't know if people are going to really show up for this thing. And he's like, I'm going to go for sure, but you should come early in the morning. I got a call from him like 4 a.m. And he's like, okay, the line's getting crazy. You have to come now. So I'm like, oh, fine. So I go and I get in the line. And at this time I worked at G4. So I started interviewing people and making friends. As people were waking up, I would interview them for G4. And I actually wrote the article for G4 that is on the G4 website about the midnight launch. But the only bad part about this was, and we ended up making friends with a lot of people, and it was great. Then I made Chad go get us some breakfast sandwiches and come back. And then when GameStop opened up, we ended up just getting like these wristband things and a receipt or something. And then a month later, we had to come back at midnight again. It was a double midnighter.
Oh, man.
We had to line up. But this one was much faster because we just kind of went through and we told them which games we want and that sort of stuff. And it was just kind of a bummer because having gone through this experience with being on the street with Chad for so many hours, at the very end, we're like, I got mine. Okay, I'm going home too. See ya. We didn't even hang out together. We both went to our separate houses and set it up and, had a great time. But I will never forget the Wii for that experience and sleeping on the sidewalk and just having a good time and interviewing people for G4 is good times.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely was. Definitely. And that's the thing I kind of like it's not there anymore because look, I know I'm a little bit older, but I'd still get out there and I'd still camp out if I needed to.
100%. I would too, to be honest. I loved the midnight release and the camaraderie and just chatting with a fellow gamer who knows as much about gaming as you do. Like, you can't get that anymore.
I know.
Unless I'm talking to you guys.
But there is also something to be said about just knowing you get the game. You're guaranteed to get the game when it releases. That is something that's hard to miss.
And there's always that heart-stopping moment for real nerds who have been to these midnight launches where you see the GameStop employee come out and they start counting. And because they know that they have a limited supply, but you don't know what their supply is. And there's going to be a cutoff somewhere in the line. And you're just praying that the employee gets past you and that there are enough in there for you. So I just know that I will never forget that feeling of being like, I've been out here all night. And luckily, it got cut off after me. So that was good stuff.
So good. Good stuff.
On that note, we need to start wrapping things up, but please make sure you're subscribed to our socials and on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button. And on behalf of the Good Playing With You crew, Matt Lord, Matt Maulding, and myself, Dan Whitehill, have a great weekend. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.